Hey guys, this is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? Please hit that thumbs up or tap it on its third eye. Share and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you get anything from my work, a connect that, an epiphany, a mind-blown moment, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work, and all the links are in the description below the video. Manly P. Hole, The Ways of the Lonely Ones. Sadly, with much remorse and regret, with the Hermit's Journey, this book is done today. I really enjoyed this book, and the story took me forever to finish because it's that good. I usually write them on like white pieces of paper, but like I got a nice little notebook here that I wrote it in because it's like 4 pages back and front. This couldn't have been read at I don't know. It's divine timing. This is written as if Manly P. Hall was the character in this little story, the short story. It's called The Last of the Shamen, dedicated to the memory of a lonely people. Now, before I get into the meat and the bones of the story and how we are all traversing this path, a big preface, I don't even know the wording to describe this, but the last medium reading that I had, because again, I can't read for myself. Was it in June? The beginning of June. I basically got told that my Native American guides have stepped forward, that I've always had them. I have a percentage, and unfortunately, yes, I did Ancestry and 23. And me, I know a lot of people, and that's my printer. A lot of people are like, oh my God, they have your DNA. I'm protected. And I'm not worried about it. If they wanted me, they know how to get me. And they've tried for my whole life. And they have yet to succeed. So, F them. Anywho, that's why I make that statement, because I did it because I wanted to find my birth family. I found my birth family using 23andMe. If it wasn't for that site, I have tried the legal route. I have tried to put money up to find a person to investigate my situation. Then nothing of that, none of it came to fruition. Right after my adopted mother died, she knew how much I really wanted to find my truth. Like everything just transpired the way it was supposed to. I'm not worried about my blood type. I'm not worried about people coming after me, because I am like one of these, the person they're going to speak about. I'm like the white version of that. And there are many of you in that same scenario. So don't feel bad, because a lot of people talk about, oh, it's bad, don't do it, they have your DNA. Well, everybody has your DNA. I'm sorry. It's the DNA when the God spark happened that is being activated right now, that they can't get a hold of. So don't you worry about it, because a lot of people stop going and getting their blood work. And even if you do, I have little buggies. Did some yard work today and yesterday. Don't worry about it. You're protected. People go crazy over this blood stuff. It's in your DNA. Your activations, the ascension symptoms everybody talks about, the Shamen resonance, all of that is activating you. So your little minute part of the universe, your blood that's already out in the lab, it's not, it's all within you. Stop. There's a couple of people that I'm just like, calm down. We're all one. If we are all one, individuated from source, we are all from Christ. Get it? We're all one. So what does it matter what your blood type is? It doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm off on a tangent. This stuff just pisses me off to no ends. And I'm trying to transcend it and let people have their perceptions and their thinking. I just think it's a waste of energy and time. Although very interesting, and yes, there are lineages and there are tribes and there are things that we all stem from, but we are all one. Anywho, during that medium reading, I got told my Native American soul tribe is coming in, and I have one particular warrior who's riding a horse, who's like black and has some pink and feathers, that's coming in an astral, ethereal way to help me when my battle with evil commences. And I have a whole tribe of them coming in. And what I think it's really important, when I got told that, in the work I'm supposed to do here in Indiana, I'm still trying to find a tribe, the Padawana tribe, Padawani tribe, something like that. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. I'm not here to disrespect. I'm supposed to find those tribe members, the shamans, the medicine women or men, and to help me learn how their native people cleared the land. And I'm supposed to add my frequency with their frequency to null and void the negative energy that's hitting the ley line not far from me. So I had the rumblings of finding my tribe, as in the Native American tribe. I'm supposed to find them. I'm supposed to interact with them and learn from them. And I thought that was very interesting reading this last short story, and why it's in divine timing that I read this to you guys. So many of you may feel the same way. You might be Native American yourself. You might be mixed with that in your bloodline. Again, we're all one. You just individuated and you picked your ethnic race, color, your situation. You picked it all for this lifetime because it gave you the most soul growth. That doesn't mean you weren't a Native American in a past life, and it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean anything. It just means you're much more than what you are. For those, I quoted a lot out of this section because it's just pure amazingness. So we're going to begin. Quote, the majority of the white race know little, if anything, of the American Indian, of his ideals, his hopes, and his fears, for there are few indeed who can pierce the stoic attitude of these people, who, while they are fast dying, still preserve the dignity and self-control which mark all the elder nations, end quote. In childhood, the mingling with a strange, broken people, a remnant of what was the most powerful of all races. The studying of Indian is but wonderful and fascinating. Spending years of studying these people, an invisible cord, a mystic bond drew me in. I've seen the Indians on ponies and broncos on the street in town. The horses decked out in yellow, ochre, green, and blue dye, making war cries. Botched money exchange, selling cattle and horses, botching wares, beadwork be sold, and so much more. Quote, of white men, there are but few who concern themselves as to the fate of the Indians, end quote. And I'm going to put a pause there. It's very true. When the Europeans, and I want to say the Spanish too from South America, came up, I don't think the South Americans that came up through Mexico and came up into the United States, yeah, they had agendas and they were probably doing much worse. But the Europeans, I think, did a hell of a lot more damage. And of course, the Illuminati peoples that came over with agendas knew what these Indians, or what later in the story is Red Man, were originally. It's so fascinating at the end of the story what they speak of. But it's the truth. If you've ever watched the Addams Family, I want to say Values, and you see Wednesday and Pugsley, trying to sell stuff, and they're giving the Indians redemption in that movie. And it's a kid's movie, but it's the truth. Through gothicness, by the way. But it's showing and telling you, my people have been persecuted for knowing the real knowledge of this universe. And I feel the same way, that they understood the dynamics of this universe, and through their languages and through their artwork and through their ceremonies, they have spread this knowledge. And at some point it started getting lost. And I know that there are tribes in Alaska and in other portions of the United States that are trying to get their native tongue back into the school system. They're trying to get and spread their knowledge and their ceremonies, and they share that with people, and I think it's beautiful. We all have to come back to what was here, the original energy. Like every individual race has a role in the great plan. Plus, the work done for the plan, it vanishes from the sight of men. It does have a role, because we all play a role in, sadly, stereotype of our race, what each of our races contribute to the energetic field of the planet or realm of existence. Quote, in his soul, the Indian knows that the path of his race is run. And while his heart is sad, still the voice within whispers, and the old bear brain realizes that the great spirits is calling his children home from the corners of creation, and calmly and serenely, the aged warrior, philosopher, statesman gathers the folds of his blanket around him and walks around along the way that leads to Manitou, the mighty. End quote. In a small town near the western states, the strangest Indian appeared, for it seemed he has been alive forever. They called him Uncle Joe. People guessed God made him with the country. Not many people interacted with Uncle Joe, since he seemed lonely like a wanderer, through his heart was a pure gold. Here again, we, in the Hermit's Journey, we're finding these very intellectual people that hermit themselves. They are amongst societies. They do go into the village. They do traverse society, but their old soul is beyond wise, and they don't communicate much with too many people with giving and sharing their secrets or their knowledge. And you can see this in every facet of our society. There are a lot of people here and now who have a huge chunk of truth. They're showing it to you on the television, and people still are denying the insanity going on in governments, not just the United States, just all over the planet. There are so many corrupted things, and people are just brainwashed with whatever they hear on television must be true. But now things are kind of flipping, and you already innately, most of us, knew the truth already. It's just having tangible evidence for it to be shown to a populace that would believe it. You know, I could show people a picture of the Draco that I have, and only a few people actually see the Draco. Some people are like, well, I don't see anything. Well, it's because they're not meant to see it. They don't have the eyes to see yet. The same goes with this story, especially the Native Americans, especially the shamans. Uncle Joe, a well-rounded, well-spoken, many languages, in fact, widely traveled and very polished in temperament. The people always thought Uncle Joe to be a medicine man, a chief. Even some made claims a secret agent for the government. And we know that back in the wars, there were Navajo code breakers sending code so that no one else would know how to break it, because they know who knows the Navajo language but the Navajos. Though the people knew nothing of Uncle Joe, just assumptions. It's true. When I'll take myself for an example, I believe I'm a hermit. I don't go out in society too much. I only go to the supermarket and back. I'm a homebody for the most part, even when I was working. A good friend of mine that I grew up with since elementary school said to me, Allison, you never walked with us, you walked alongside us. You were never a part of the group, but you deeply impacted each one of us in the group. You're always seen as somebody well-versed and well-knowledged, but you never fit in with us. And that's the truth. At the end of the day, especially growing up, I didn't have many friends because the things that I was telling people, no one believed, or they didn't know how to comprehend it. Now, looking back, a lot of my friends that people that I grew up with were like, yeah, you must have had a very lonely life. Never being really a part of something because everybody put you outside of that grouping, but you always had a way of influencing us for better. That's kind of how I mean hermited. And for the same, this Uncle Joe seems to be in a village. Some people try to traverse and talk to him, and other people are just looking at him and making assumptions. Oh, he's evil, or oh, he's into some crazy stuff, or oh, he's a lunatic. People make crazy assumptions about others. Stop judging and stop making assumptions until you meet somebody. I had my principal say this. Principal the school I used to work in, she said to me, I'm sorry I judged you because you have a look about you that put me off. But when I saw you with the children and saw how much they loved you and wanted your attention, and how much, the back and forth, the professionalism and the teaching you gave them, my decision to hire you was instantaneous. Doesn't matter what you look like, as long as you come in clean and presentable. I shouldn't have judged you, and I'm very sorry. Again, many of us, you don't need to look like me. You can be a normal, and we're all normal in some aspect, but you might present yourself in a more normalized way and still get the same thing. It's the vibration you're putting off. They can't handle it. That's what makes us hermits. Uncle Joe took a liking to me. After spending months in the small town, he even spoke about the Red Man, the history and philosophy. In a few years, I became on one of his closest companions. Only when he rode off in the desert was he alone. All other times we were together. Uncle Joe spoke about the Great Spirit and how the gods came to care for and instruct his peoples. After 3 years, Uncle Joe asked me to join him in the desert, for this would be his last ride, and wanted to impart his wisdom so it doesn't die with him. Of course, the opportunity is taken, for a great secret had been carefully guarded. I needed to know. Now, hang on. Carlos Castaneda, The Active Side to Infinity. This book I read on this channel. This is essential to understanding the shaman. This right here, sorry guys, this book is almost a similar story to what I'm reading. Carlos Castaneda's work is incredible. This book is, I think, my #1 book. Unfortunately, the other books are copywritten where I can't read them. So it's going to take me some time. And I mean, I have 1,000 books behind me. I got to get on to doing notes and slowly just doing that, because his work is incredible. And this talks about another type of Native American, more in Mexico, that takes a guy on a journey, divulges a lot of information, and initiates him and shows him his ways so that that person can hold a torch for the next generation. And that's what's going on here, as I'm going to read further. But I highly recommend this book. And it could very well be another type of hermit's journey. It's journeying of self-recognition of the powers that you already have within you. It's just activating them and working with them. I have this book on my channel. I did it a while ago. Please find it. If you can't get the book to read it, I recommend reading this. It's amazing. Amazing. Back to my notes. The next morning, the hopped on pinto ponies and set off. That made a lot of sense, Allison. Next morning, they both hopped on pinto ponies and set off. Uncle Joe, during the journey, told me many things. Among some I did and I can't divulge. Uncle Joe said, quote, today my gods have spoken and said that one, at least, of the coming race should know the secret of my dying people. And it's not to say that the Indian Native Americans are dying. They're not dying. They will always be here. It's the lineage specific to Uncle Joe that is. And we'll find out why. I just want to make that reference this. So it's a specific type of Native American that Uncle Joe is, that is dying off with him. He said the red man were and some still are a mystic body for thousands of years and had kept records of these wandering people. Not much known about these people. A lot were hidden from the Indians themselves. The sum of what I feel is a secret order appointed by the Great Spirit to work alongside his children. Uncle Joe told me some of these wandering people from the Far East, the place of the rising sun. Quote, they came from a wondrous city of shining lights that had vanished forever beneath the waters of a mighty ocean. End quote. Shambhala, Far East, rising sun, Shambhala. However you want to pronounce Shambhala. That's what he's talking about, in my opinion. Uncle Joe said these people were of the okay, Melchezedek, priest kings. They wore robes with bird feathers, shining gold emperors of wealth, wisdom of the gods. Quote, these strange masters brought out of the Dawn land the knowledge of the Great Spirit and had formed the Indians into 7 great nations like the planets in the heavens, end quote. Okay, so Malkedek to me screams Melchizedek. That's what that screams to me, at least. It might not to you, and I have never heard of that order. And they're like, you read the Rancho book, there's a lot of decks. Ladonna deck. Yeah, all of them that you see in the Rancho book. You hear Ashiana Dean talk about the cloister of Melchizedek and their purpose. Perfectly described right here. And there are many of us on this planet as we speak in this reality, this holographic, ontological, mathematic, simulated matrix. There are a lot of us who are from that cloistered group on a soul level. We hold a greater understanding of this universe, how it operates, how it works. And yes, the perceptions of all of us are different. And that's okay. Again, we're in human form that our DNA and stuff is still activating. We're still remembering. We're all trying to take other people's, their knowledge and try to piece it for ourselves. And that's kind of why I'm imparting a lot of what I'm thinking about with you guys, because it might spark something in you and go, well, I don't resonate with that, but I like that concept. Let me look into that further. That's all we need to keep doing, is spreading knowledge, because perception, it's all metaphysical. Everybody is going to perceive this reality differently. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If you find something wrong with that, maybe that's a trigger for you to heal. Okay, not many people are going to see the world the same way you will. But going back to the Melchizedeks, or here it's Melchizedek. Melchizedek is a priesthood. John the Baptist, Yeshua were all a part of it. They were the Magi. They spread the universal laws, the law of one. This is the things that they spread. And if you look at what Native Americans preach, they are about everything is sentient. Everything is sentient. Like I said, this pen is a creative thought form of God source itself. He put the idea into somebody's mind to create a pen. That's a manifested thought form, manifested in reality, in the material world. As in everything you see here, it's all of source. Even the negative Nancy stuff is still of source. The trees are sentient, the grass is sentient, the soil is sentient. You can go back and read Dolores Cannon. Her cute HHT sessions says, I was the air, I was the volcano, I was the rock on the ground, and I got tired, and boink, you ascended. These are the things that you got to take into perspective when a Native American is speaking. They're telling you that their perception is that everything is sentient, because we're all one. Doesn't end with we're all one soul, we're all one people, we're all one species of race. No, we're one with everything, because we share energy with everything. We interact with different fields of energy. We're all one. We just are vibrating at different oscillation points on a daily basis. We're fluctuating all the time. Energy is in constant movement, doesn't stop, just transforms. And again, my opinions. But I think this was like, when I read that, these priests worked alongside the Indians. They brought to the Indians the path of the sunbeam, the great serpent of wisdom. These priests guarded them and their destiny of their development. Though now the red man's work has come to a close and the Great Spirit is calling to gather his harvest. And we hear Ra talking about the harvest. So if we're talking about the harvest and we're thinking on the long of the lines of back in the day, when we want to know why the Mayan civilization all of a sudden blinked out of existence, they just disappeared. The Incas just disappeared. Where did they go? The people in Shambhala, the people of Asgard, the people that were all in Atlantis. I mean, we know some of this history of Atlantis. They went to Shem, aka Egypt, but do we know that they traversed onto American soil? The harvest is them ascending, them taking their leave because their work is done. The things, the vibratory state, the wisdom that they imparted on humanity, their job is done, and it's now time to go home. Because now they're going to recoup and do more and better work. Uncle Joe and I continued on our ponies with a once ocean-filled landscape now barren and dead. They finally came to a point where Uncle Joe put his hand out and spoke a language very foreign to me. After Uncle Joe stopped, like a portal, open rocks, dissolved a gateway appeared, and Uncle Joe and I entered this mystic ark. It was dark, the doors to the ark closed. Quote, "For many hundreds of years," whispered Uncle Joe, "this rocky cavern has remained unknown to the white man, for in it are buried the secrets of a lost people," end quote. Not many people know the mysteries of the race of my peoples. We both kept writing. A beautiful blue sky emerged with a great expanse. The land of the red man, Uncle Joe says, quote, "No longer do the waters come forth, for the work of the red man is done, and soon he will be as lifeless and broken as the desert which stretches before you." We came to a narrow slit to meet the god of the red man, which that slit opened to a room lit by many blazing logs, illuminating figures who are ghostly. A circle of red men, mummies, 12 of them, sat Indian style. A thunderbird was carved behind this mysterious circle. Uncle Joe explained, "These robed mummies are the chiefs. Quote, one after another they have been brought here, and in the heart of this mountain of red sandstone, they sit, mute examples of faithfulness to the end. They were the order of Melchezedek, the priests, Shems of the nomadic people of the world," end quote. Uncle Joe explains their spirits went back to the Great Father as their mission and duties were fulfilled. Uncle Joe learned in telling me about the glories of his people and hoped someday I would speak these glories to my world. As the nighttime sky shone its splendor, gathered clouds appeared, the last dull gleams sparkled out of the setting sun. Quote, "They are the dying ones," end quote, "and I am one of them," said Uncle Joe. "The white man will never know the red man, for the white race has made us a stranger in the land of our birth, nameless vagabonds in the beautiful world created for us." Quote, "But it is well, for as today the red man sinks away into the eternal night, so shall the white man, when his day is done, pass silently to rest." End quote. Looking at the sky, the procession of the great chiefs and red man made their way across the night sky. Uncle Joe points and shows me the campfires are burning bright in heaven. Uncle Joe says he sees them every night. He sees the smoke signals and hear the ancient war drums blaring. Quote, "From the mighty land of the Syaks, from the tribes of the Algonquins, from the Muskegon and the wandering Iroquois, even to the distant Shoshones, I am known," end quote. "Every time one of the great one dies, it is me in the silent night walking the tops of mountains with his body in my arms, bringing them to the sand stores mountain, my secret place." Quote, "Never until the time when Manitou the mighty shall roll away these mountains shall the 12 priests of Malkedek be found," end quote. Quote, "Your people may search through the 7 worlds, but they will never find the secret of the red man, for passing silently into the great beyond, he carries with him the truths of his creation," end quote. Until Joe said, "Now all 12 are here. The spirit of his people have gone back across the great waters to the Father until the day they come forth again on other wheels as new nations." Uncle Joe stated there are no more Melchizedeks, the Melchizedeks, The cave is forever sealed as the order of the kings. He will go with the red man race, the spirit of all the greatest emperors and kingdoms live through me as I am one with them. Quote, I am the last shaman, the last of the priest kings who came out of the lost Atlantis. I am the last who was ordained in the temple of the rising sun. I am the last to bear the mark of the serpent, end quote. Uncle Joe moved, then appeared in a garb of a god, the red man's warrior dress, shining so bright and glorious, the emperor of the dead. Uncle Joe said, I am the last of the red man, the last of the priests, has been called to rest. But remember, there is no death. Quote, I can never die, but shall live on forever to guard the destinies of my people, who, while their race is broken, must continue their endless pilgrimage through space until the day when the All-Father calls home even Manitou the mighty, end quote. Somewhere in time-space, the boundless infinite, we shall meet as you two are chosen by your gods. Uncle Joe then said, he will be here in the cave. I will remain here until the last great day, the last of the red men. That was profound. That was profound. The difference in that time frame and our time frame, if we think about it, is in this grand experiment, because it is an experiment, we might not die. And even if we do, because let's face it, a lot of people are under an illusion that we might be taking our vehicles with us. Well, that might be true for some, not all. Some of us will die in this vehicle that we call humanness, and we will ascend without it, because something greater and better will be in its place for us. There's nothing to fear, because death is just a transformation. And until we acknowledge the Indians and their learning and their understanding of the world, and many people have studied alongside with them and understand their stories. Some of them aren't really stories, they're just recountants of battles and of beings that are here. And they've always been here. And they have a better understanding how to communicate with them. As a hermit's journey is not closing just yet, there's more to go. But we have finished the Manly P. Hall book. There was one section that did not really apply to this Hermit's Journey, but that's okay. We're finding that we need to find and pull strength from within ourselves to speak the truth. And although they're not secreted, I wouldn't say that what I know is secret. It's just not believable for some. You still speak it out into existence. You got to speak. You got to hold your truth. We, as a hermited people, those of us that know what we are and know the knowledge that we have within, it's all about remembering right now. It's all about understanding what we are and how we play and what role we play in society. What are we doing here? Besides holding high frequency for everybody else, We're here to have a human experience. We're here for soul growth. We're here on many different facets and many different missions. And some of us have to do it on a lonely path, which sucks because you see everybody else having help while you're the one slowly getting through life, not having many opportunities, not having much luck in anything. And again, we wrote the story for us, but we would always hope that a fellow man would be more of a help. And sometimes we find that they're not. We have to impart our wisdom as little seedlings to people. No matter how you do that, I think many of you do on a daily basis through visualizations on memes, on sharing content with people, on speaking your truth about what you think. And I'm glad I see a lot more people commenting on my videos because there is a connection people are drawing to. Whether you again, please comment. You don't need to believe everything I say. What do you believe? What is it that you see? Again, make it that it's your opinion or your perspective. People talk in definites and in finite, this is my way and it's no other way because I perceive it this way. Don't do that. My perception is I see the world this way. That would help kind of lead other people who are very quiet into themselves, want to start commenting because, guys, we're at a time where there's just stop fearing. Please, I delete people who have some negative Nancy comments. I don't stand for that. I don't vibe to that. You can have your opinion and love it, but if it's negative, it's not going to stay on my channel. On any one of my channels that I have. This is a hard road that we're all walking through right now. There's a lot of portal energy happening. 8/8 Lionsgate is happening. Happy August 1st. We have a full moon outside. I gotta go take pictures soon. We got a lot of energy happening. Whether you want to believe in the astrology, whether you don't, whether you believe in the lunar cycles or you don't, whether you go based on the lunar cycle or you don't, everybody has their niche. Everybody has their thing. Everybody's entitled to have that. Even the negative people. And they're here just having an experience just like you are. They're here to wake us up like we're here to wake them up. It's duality. It's dualistic. But being alone and finding your niche in this world is important. Finding your voice amongst a crowd of a million is important. As you can tell, Uncle Joe chose the character that would be Manly P. Hall to join him because no one else gave him the time of day. They made assumptions about him. But after getting a friendship with him, he's like, well, I'm going to impart on you some things that I think you need to hear because my race is dying and you are one of us in the sense of being the white man who is supposed to start leading the way or finding another person to pass the torch to. And we're here as hermits to pass the torch to the children. It's not other adults, it's to the children. They're the future. They're the ones that are getting upgraded just like us. They're going to hold the frequency way higher than us. And they're going to have the knowledge streaming out through them. And we're the ones to help them learn how to anchor their energy, help them clear their thoughts, help them meditate. As we go through our process, they are going through theirs. And we need to be the way showers to guide them. We're their guides. We're both teachers to them and the students to them. So be proud of yourself, hermit that's sitting at home feeling alone. It's been a long journey. And it stinks sometimes when you're going to bed alone. When you have a great idea and you really don't know who to share it to because not many people are even going to understand you. More and more, I'm seeing more outlets for people like us to emerge into. I'm seeing more groups. And yeah, I'm more of an observer in a lot of groups, and I'm more of a listener to a lot of content. When I'm in those kind of groups, like on Facebook and Instagram, I listen, I observe. I don't do much talking or putting my 2 cents in. Because people are not ready yet to hear what I really have to say. And when I try, I'm ignored. So why I do what my feelings are on on my channel, and for those souls and spirits who are guided to my work, are the ones that are supposed to understand and take the knowledge in and transmute it to what you needed to get so that you can spread it out. Or have the confidence to do it. I get a lot of those messages too. Thank you. You gave me some confidence. I kind of shy of a human being. I don't like going out. But you gave me an avenue to do it for myself. You know, you don't have to go on YouTube. You can blog. You can blog. There's a lot of different avenues you can take being a hermit. We are a dying race. That is a truth. And it's the angelic human line that is being eradicated right now. We're holding the frequency, and we need to keep holding it and be steady with it. The world is going through a lot of turmoil right now. There is a lot of death happening right now. A lot of death. And a lot is impactful. But you need to transcend it and know that they're not dead. Their physical bodies are, but their mission and they're just transformed, and they're doing their thing where they couldn't do it in this body. So guys, I'm so sad. I love this book. Please go get it for yourself and read it. There's a lot to take away from it. And again, Manly P. Hole is not doing like his other work, is imparting its stories. Just like thus spoke Zarathustra, Nisha is imparting through that character a lot of wisdom through their stories. You don't have to like the philosopher. You don't have to like Manly P. Hall to get the understanding of what they're trying to tell you through their stories. They're not speaking Masonic, satanic stuff to you, because Nisha is like, oh, God's dead. Well, which God? Again, what God is he talking about? The All Father. Why the Norse and some Native American tribes call it All Father? All Father, the All. The Kabbalion. Go back to the Kabbalion. The All. Which God was Nisha speaking about? It's a good question. Someone should channel Nisha. Freaking smart. A lot of those philosophers in the 1800s were stupid smart. And we got to get back to that. Observing. You hear me? Observing society, capturing the wrongs, and coming up with new philosophy, coming up with new ways of handling the new, moving forward. Here, I'm putting thought forms and thought streams out to some of you who are writers and possibly philosophers. Take that and eat right away. What are you seeing? What's the culture like? We're going through a lot of conscious changes, and we're creating new consciousness. It's picking the middle way, understanding both sides of yourself, understanding the shadow, understanding your light, understanding you're both. Even Jesus flipped tables. He knew the dark side of himself. He knew the Lucifer aspect of himself. Mary knew the Lilith aspect of herself. What's your alter ego? What's that deep down spot where you get so angry you want to rip a head off? I have a lot of tools over there. I have a lot of axes. I have a lot of sharp things. We're human. We have hormones. We get angry. That's the dark side of yourself. Can you accept it? Because you're dualistic. You're both. Don't let your secrets die with you. Don't be the one in the cave. We have to emerge out of it and get some people to come with us. That's the hermit's journey. So we're no longer hermits. We might be hermits in our wisdom, and our pathways might be very hermited. But along the way, you will come across people, and you will come across a lot to help others. So instead of stereotyping types of people, instead of pinpointing, oh, those people hate me because they are X, Y, and Z. How do you know? Unless they're coming at you with an axe. Or they're giving you dirty looks. Then those are not your people. But just don't assume all the time. Don't make assumptions. Don't make generalizations unless it's valid. I did this book on my channel. Please go listen to it. If not, buy the book and read it, because this is an incredible dark night of the soul, finding yourself kind of journey book that's very similar to this story I just read, but way more comprehensive. Really good book. And with that, guys, sending each and every one of you protection, love, light, and shielding. Please keep those vibrations high, especially now. The energy is coming in from the full moon, whether you want to believe in that or not, still affecting you in some way. Please take salt baths, sage, whatever you do, pray, meditate, chant, do mantras, whatever is within your soul to do. Make sure your energy is clear. We need that right now. Hope everybody has a great upcoming week. It's only the middle. Please be safe, be seen, and I hope to see you guys on the next one.